But first, Kyle, it's an interesting intersection of things that we've talked about a lot in the past year, and that is China and Russia. Just opine away. What's going on?
Look, I think everybody forgets that when the wall fell and communism failed in Russia back in the late 1980s, we, the U.S., along with the U.K., convinced the Ukraine to denuclearize. When the wall fell, the Ukraine had a third of Russia's nukes. And so when we convinced them to denuclearize, we agreed to protect their national sovereignty. We agreed to basically protect the Ukraine from territorial invasion. So for those of you that believe that the U.S. should just walk away and let Russia deal with Ukraine on its own, this is a much larger issue with a treaty that we signed. When we get into how we're dealing with this, I'm really heartened by the bill. I don't know if many people have paid attention to the Defending Ukraine Sovereignty Act, which is a Menendez-Risch bill that's being massaged by the White House in the back. When I look at those sanctions, Joe, that we're talking about sanctioning the majority of the oligarchs, the big Russian banks, Putin himself, his defense minister, his minister of communications. When I think about the tip of our spear, if we don't want to put people in harm's way, when you look at the roadmap of the sanctions against Russia, China is going to be paying a lot of attention to those sanctions. When we talk about sanctioning Russia, Russia makes its own food and also relies on Urals crude oil for the majority of its GDP. Russia's in a good place right now, even if we sanction them and shut them down. China is in a horrible place, right? They are short energy, short food, short basic materials, and they have to have dollars to buy them. So I guess what I'm heartened by is the roadmap of sanctions in Russia as it applies to China if China decides to move militaristically on Taiwan.
It's expensive to deploy all those troops. Do you think Putin has a time frame and knows exactly when and what he's going to do at this point, Kyle?
I mean, I've always thought that as soon as the Olympics are over, it's anybody's guess. I think China's probably begged Putin not to move till the Olympics are over. The Olympics will be over in a couple of weeks. And you've seen Jake Sullivan saying they could move any day. The big question is, if and when Putin moves, A, what do we do? And B, what does China do with Taiwan? Is this a time at which you have both Putin and Xi acting together? And I think it's the opportune time because, as you know, we rely so desperately and heavily on Taiwan semiconductor production, and that those plants are less than 100 miles away from the Chinese border and Chinese troops. And so we're in such a precarious position right now, geopolitically. And I hope that our people in the Fed and the Treasury, I guess, more likely are up to this task. I hope Janet Yellen has some national security bones in her body because she really needs to be thinking about our financial weapons. Our financial weapons are much stronger than sending troops to these borders.